We'll make it interesting.
All right.
Ugh. Ugh.
Hello,
That was-
friends. Welcome to another episode of another fucking Islanders podcast. I am here with Eric Vogel, Mike Dino Dangle, and Brandon Gaines, and we are going to talk about the summer of Lou, or should we call it the bummer of Lou, since nothing really happened. I think I should probably start this off by giving a public apology to everyone who I gave false hope to. Nothing is happening. Lou fucking sucks, and Eric was right. There you go.
I would like to hear you all say that to start this podcast. I just assumed that's why we didn't do it one more recently, because everybody was just like, oh,
I'm just
Eric was
I'm
right.
just
I don't
I'm
want to
just
have to
I'm just
say
gonna copy and paste John. I'm just gonna copy and paste what he said.
Josh Bailey is still an Islander. None of the free agents are. Zero moves. So
It was my fault for having help, but what can you do?
I'm glad we waited until today to do it because Milano just went on.
I knew he
to
wasn't.
Calgary. Yeah, but that was my last hope because Rodriguez went and all the other guys I wanted went. I'm like, all right, maybe Lou's gonna surprise us.
Look, I don't want them to make a move just to make a move. Like, there were 4 or 5 guys that I legitimately wanted. Other than that, like, I don't want Evan Rodriguez at that.
When are we gonna talk about depth? Because there's almost no competition, unless you think Ratu's gonna make the lineup or something.
I don't think he's gonna make the lineup, but I think he's gonna be competition.
He played a few games in the playoffs, right, with Bridgeport.
Yeah, he scored the game winner against Providence. I actually went to that game.
He's not really going to be like, he's probably not going to crack the lineup. Maybe he'll get like a 10-game stint or something, but he'll have competition. He'll be competition.
I think it's going to be that. Lou said today that he doesn't see Ratu or the 4 as ready. He said that.
Yeah, but I kind of think that's PR speak as well, just because if he said that they were ready or he said anything other than that they weren't, people would have expectations.
But the specific quote was, "I'd rather leave them down there too long than bring them up too soon."
He's like the opposite of how the NHL operates today.
I don't read too much into stuff like that.
Yeah,
you know, like anytime a general manager says, like, it doesn't matter like what you say, like positive or negative about any players. It all depends on, are you on the team or not? You could say the player is not making the team, and all of a sudden they make the team, and vice versa. So I don't really put too much stock on it. I'd say let's see how training camp and preseason unfold before, we take that quote in a vacuum, if you will.
I mean, you guys can think whatever you want. It's clear that only one of us really knows Lou's mind.
Yeah.
What's his phone number, Eric? What's his phone number? I need his phone
number. If you want to spin the wheel of negativity, you'll be right like 9 times out of 10.
Okay. So let's go to the first category for the night, off-season grades, and this is where I will explain why it's not negativity. I will start. I give the off-season a B. Okay, and I think that's because it's the same reason I said last podcast. You don't just mess with this chemistry, okay? You don't mess with the chemistry of this team. You don't want to unless you get a guy for the right price. You don't sell the farm just to try and move heaven and earth. If you're moving out Josh Bailey just to get Gaudreau, how much of a lateral move is that? So I think that this is Lou.
Mike's about to lose it.
Making sure.
Lateral.
Sure.
I mean, I'm not gonna lose it, but I just love Mike's reaction to this.
He's making sure that the future is not sacrificed for the present. When the present is what the present is going to be. This team is not malleable, and that should be fine because this is relatively the same team that went to the back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals. I think Romanoff is a nice add. I think the D is just going to be better without Chara generally. I think so. as I hate to say this because like nobody wants a big move more than me, but forcing it at this point would be silly. So I give them an all-around B.
Who's
Who
next?
Okay. That's
Who
fair.
wants to go next?
Yeah, why not? I'll go.
Okay.
I give them like a C minus, C minus, because outside of the big move, which I wanted, but it always kind of felt like a pipe dream. Yeah. It never seemed like a real possibility that they were going to get Tarasenko or Gaudreau or Miller or anything like that. But I wanted Ilya Mikheyev in the worst way. And he felt like a move that could have very easily fit into the system. He fills a need. He's cost effective. That was the thing to do. And they didn't do that. So to me, that felt like a missed opportunity.
Not getting Mikheyev added 30 pounds to Brandon Gaines' deadlift. I know this for a fact.
Yes.
No, not getting Fiala and then not getting Mikheyev.
That was the name for me. I was like, all right, these other
And
guys,
Burakovsky.
but we can't get them. It's not going to happen. This should be the focus, and it's clear that it wasn't.
Me next.
Yeah, let's give Mike a little bit more time to cool off. Brandon, you go next.
I know exactly what grade he's going to give him, but
Yeah.
so here's the thing. I'm giving this Islanders organizational offseason a C minus, and let me do it the other way. There we go. That's a horrible C minus, but whatever.
Still think it's
I love the Romanov edition. He's 22 years old. He and Dobson are only a day apart in age. You know, I have no issue with that. If he becomes eventually Noah Dobson's Adam Pelech, to me, that's a freaking win. Because the issue the Islanders had last year, aside from not utilizing certain youngsters properly, was their defense. You know, the team could not get out of their own freaking zone. I don't care if they were the 7th best team in goals against. You know, they were in the bottom 10 in high danger chances generated for and scoring chances generated for. You need to have a strong transition game or a strong, stable defense to keep the puck in the attacking zone. The Islanders were 15th in shooting percentage. They were in the middle of the pack. They didn't get enough opportunities. They didn't get enough power play opportunities despite being 22% this year, which sounds good. So you realize they're in the bottom 10 in total power play goals scored because they didn't get enough opportunities to have power plays.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think the Romanov edition fixes that. He's 22. He's not. I believe he was 2 years younger than Pelech when Pelech started under Barry Trotz. So there is time for Romanov to have potential top pair qualities. Maybe he doesn't become that, but at the very minimum, he could form a solid top 4 spot on the left side. And he's cheap too. He's only $2.5 million per. I'm giving it a C minus, not because of, not getting Mikheyev, because, you could play or Burakovsky because of the tie with Lambert. Yep. It's because you could play devil's advocate and say, because the scout that they hired who got Mikheyev and Zaitsev to Toronto can go and tell Lou, hey, I view him only as a mid-6 forward. I don't view him as a top 6 forward. So you could play devil's advocate and look at it that way. The issue why I'm giving it a lower grade is for the Islanders organization is the fear it's surfaced before us. The Islanders are not a UFA hotspot. They're just not. We are the Winnipeg Jets of America, essentially, in terms of attractive players. When Johnny freaking Gaudreau chooses Columbus over the tri-state area. Wait. No. I'm not done yet.
You can't say that. You can't say that. He didn't choose Columbus over because the Islanders did not have the space for as much as everybody was like, oh, so much space. They did not have space to fit him without giving up other assets. So you can't look at it that way.
If the Islanders made an actual...
it's not even just that, because it wasn't even the fact that the Islanders didn't have space. We weren't even in consideration for him.
But
it was between Columbus or New Jersey. Like those were the teams he was considering.
Brandon,
if he
the
really
the Islanders are the girl. The Islanders are the guy that sits at home every day and says he can't find a girlfriend.
They are the bridesmaid, never the bride. They are the bridesmaid, never the bride.
If they put in an attempt and failed, I understand.
We don't know. We don't know if they didn't, though. We don't know that, though.
But we know that they did because they didn't put the fucking cap space forward to do it. They were not. Yeah. If they put in an actual attempt to get any of these people, they would have freed up the money to do it. Them not freeing up the money.
It's hard to analyze Gaudreau because they didn't have the cap space. If they had the cap space and lost out on Gaudreau, then we could talk about it more. But they really didn't. It's
not even Gaudreau though. It's players like Evan Rodriguez, like Sonny Milano.
But they weren't trying to get them. If they wanted Milano, they could have put in a PTO for him.
Like Tyler
guys if they wanted.
Don't give me a break.
Unless the Islanders
I'd love to get started. Get me in.
Mike's.
Tag me in.
It's Mike's turn.
All right, Mike, I'll tag you in. I'll ventilate.
All right, so when I give the grade, am I allowed to include Devon Toews, or is it just this offseason? Because that is an avalanche.
Mike.
That is an avalanche that just keeps coming.
Mike,
when you consider everything that happened.
About this.
It's gonna honestly, it might last for the rest of my life because it was that bad of a trade.
But
am I allowed to consider it in my grade? It's a question.
No.
You're not.
You're not. No.
Look, it's sucks more because everybody thought that those were the kind of trades.
The Devon trade thing is over.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was just asking because they got Romanov to replace Devon Toews. I mean,
I get it.
And look, they didn't get Romanov to replace Devon Toews.
No, you're right.
Romanov
to replace Nick Leddy.
What sucks more is that those were the kinds of trades that Lou was supposed to be able to get for us, not give away. What can you do? You cannot include Toews. What is your grade?
All right. So then if I can include that because of that's what we're trying to hunt down now because we need a puck-moving defenseman. I know, but they're still trying. It's still the same logic they had. Oh, we're trying to get a puck-moving defenseman. Trade Nick Leddy. Oh, we're trying to get a puck-moving defenseman. We need an offensive puck-moving. Who'd they go after? Romanov. I mean, okay, I'm going to give it
puck-moving defenseman. What do you want?
Probably the lowest quality of it compared to
Toews. But he can skate and pass, and he has vision and size.
If Cholowski or Robin Sal are paired with Mayfield, that's fine, though. There's your offensive defenseman right there.
Please stop. You're just going to get him riled up.
I know.
I just wait, Brandon. What team
the guys Cholowski for minimum contracts to him? Mike, what's your grade and why?
What team did Cholowski play good defense for? I need to know.
Don't interact. Don't interact. Do not engage. Do not engage. What is your grade?
All right, it's probably not including Toews. Like that whole avalanche that fell on me. It's probably like a D.
Okay.
I think Romanov is the saving grace, which is kind of funny because the only thing I hear from Islander fans is either best case scenario or very good scenario. Because there's a good chance he just continues where he was at and he's just okay. I mean, I don't think that's good enough to get the Islanders over the hump, especially when Sorokin, Pelican, Pulak have been carrying them regardless. I mean, Dobson was phenomenal last year, but he's not that
offensively. Offensively.
Yeah, not defense. If Dobson was as good as those two defensively, we'd have a real unit back there. But I haven't seen that yet from him, and that's why I'm glad we didn't give him the 8 years or whatever because we don't know what he is yet at all.
Bingo.
Just saying, but whatever. All right, so just to go over the grade though. Just to continue with the grade though. What has been the problem for 5 years? We haven't added any offense pretty much whatsoever, except for giving up first-round picks. Now, I understand Sonny Milano doesn't really necessarily move the needle. Evan Rodriguez doesn't really move the needle. But when you consider who the Islanders have for competition on the roster, it's Kiefer Bellows, Ross Johnston, Matt Martin, and then guys who have played in North America maybe 3 games, or Simon Holmstrom. I mean, who we really don't know what he is yet. I mean, it'd be nice to give him 9 games or whatever. Well, actually, you don't have to, but just
but the lineup is pretty much set. I understand the lack of
that's the problem. That is why this offseason I give him a D, because there was opportunity after opportunity to at least get somebody to make people actually earn their spot on the roster. I mean, they're just going to hand it over to Kiefer Bellows on the 3rd line. They're going to hand it over to Ross Johnston on the 4th line, or Matt Martin. I don't think that's right. I mean, they could have gotten Tyler. Even if you don't like Sonny Milano, there were so many other options that they could have tried. And it's like, oh, what do you do with Matt Martin's contract? Then you just bury it. Who cares? You know what I mean? Like, it's fully variable. There's no punishment in that. So I don't know. The clubhouse mentality has followed me my entire life, even up to this day. And it's frightening as a fan. It makes me not excited. So I'm going to give it a D. You guys can take over.
I get it. I get the disappointment, and I think it's going to be.
Wait, one more thing. Also,
I think it's going to be worse next year.
one more thing, though. Lou, for like 5 years, was like, oh, we need offensive pop. We need offensive pop. We need offensive pop. Now he comes out and is like, I'm happy with what we got. Like, where does that come from?
Lou didn't say that. Lou didn't say that. Trotz said that.
I'm pretty sure Lou said it as well.
No. Trotz said that after the 2019 cleanout day.
We need to go back and look, because I'm pretty sure Lou said we need to add offense to this team.
During the locker room cleanout in 2019, Trotz the one who said we need a little bit more pop. Trotz the one who said that.
Maybe Lou didn't use those words, but he said we needed to add offense. At some point, I remember.
No. You know what he said? He said we need younger players stepping up and on this team. And you hope Lambert can do that with this team.
We'll go back and look.
I'm pretty sure he said we'll improve where we can, which is almost what he always says.
He said we will make quote unquote hockey trades.
But before that,
it's such pablum that like it doesn't. We'll improve where we can. That means absolutely nothing in a vacuum.
But this is what I mean when I say don't listen to Lou. Everything out of his mouth is PR speak. He's never going to tell you what he's actually going to do. He doesn't tell the other GMs what he's going to do. Why do you think he's going to go on to the fucking PR, like a press conference, and be like, this is the plan. This is where we messed up. If he waits until the middle of September to tell you that he's not signing anyone, he's not going to tell you what he's doing.
I'm tired of giving up 1st-round picks to get offensive talent when they're right there in front of your face. I don't know, that just bothers me, because it's going to kill us in the future. And all these Devil fans that talk to me, they're laughing at me. And I'm like, why are you laughing at me? You know what I mean? It's like we went through the same thing. And it's like, I don't want to turn into a team that's going to be terrible for 10 years when he leaves. Gives the keys to Fredo. I'm not excited for that.
I don't think Chris is going to replace Lou. I don't think that's going to happen.
You better hope he doesn't.
No.
If they it all depends on this season. If they're terrible, or if they're middle of the road and not back to what
I think that's best case scenario.
The 2 years ago, do you think these owners are going to want his son to run things when he couldn't do it?
Well, not even just that. These owners are pretty hands-on. They're not going to let Lou pick his own replacement. They're going to pick someone for him.
You think they're going to want to look hands-on after that season? I mean,
I think that's when you want to be hands-on. When you notice that there's a problem, that's the time where you go, okay, we need to step in.
All right.
At least to me.
What's the next point? I'm curious though.
What do you mean? The next discussion
Subject.
topic?
Yeah.
Is early season predictions. So
you start.
boldly predicting how we think this season's gonna go. Honestly, I think they're going to be middle of the pack for most of the season. I don't think they have enough pop to do, what they did 2 years ago and 3 years ago. But I don't think they're going to be as bad as last season.
No.
I do think their division is going to be a tough division. And it's a first-time head coach. And we're going to be counting on Sorokin to be pretty massive.
Yeah.
all in all, I
That
think
would
they'll
happen
be
no matter what.
like right around. And so look, I think you're going to see what you're actually going to see in the NBA too, which is like this tanking for Bedard, like active tanking to try and get Bedard, which they're obviously not going to be a part of. I think I don't think they're going to blow the doors off UBS. I mean, I don't think anybody expects them to do that, because even when they were doing well 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they were not blowing anybody away. It's going to be the same boring hockey. The only chance that anything exciting happens is if Lane Lambert somehow unlocks Matt Barzal after, however many years on the team. I expect them to be in like the 8th playoff spot, or somewhere between 8th and 10th in the conference going into the break, and kind of in the same position as they were last year, which is like, we don't really want to trade our first overall pick, because it's not clear if it'll be that big of a help. So despite me giving the offseason a B, that's based purely on really what was able to be done, which is you're not trading any kind of futures from this team, because as is evidenced by no unrestricted free agents ever coming here, that's all you have is your prospects and your futures. So
that will change.
You
Why
think
do you
so?
think that's going to change?
Well, when they have cap space, I mean, if they could have thrown.
When's that going to be? Barzal's a free agent next year. Sorokin's a free agent the year after that.
No, I just know Lee and a few the older guys are coming off the books in like 2 or 3 years. Just sorry to interrupt.
But they're gonna need a new contract for Wallstrom. They're gonna need a new contract for Sorokin. They're gonna need.
I mean, you're assuming they become fantastic, which is good. I mean, I only see like slight forward movement.
Well, I mean, Sorokin and Barzal are already pretty fantastic. Dobson is probably going to be great. And
I thought you had Wallstrom there. I'm like,
Wallstrom to at least be like $5 million good.
By the way,
the cap's going to go up.
Mike, Andersley doesn't come off the cap for another 4 years.
Oh, man.
And at the rate he skates around the rink, might be 5 years, because he might be late. Let's go the other way. Go, Mike. What are your predictions for the season?
Okay, we're gonna go. I originally, before I found out they were not going to add a single forward into competition, had them third in the division. I think behind the Rangers and Pittsburgh. Yeah, third in the division. Because I mean, this
entire angry rant about how everything is terrible, and you have them third in the division.
Well, no, because I mean, at the end of the day, I'm trying to win a Stanley Cup. I don't really care if I finish in third or fourth. I mean, I want to be finishing first or second. Like, I want to be dominating in the season, just so in the playoffs, just the expectations just keep going. I mean, it doesn't happen for every team, but most of the teams that win the cup dominate in the regular season. Am I wrong? I mean, there's rare cases like the Kings where that didn't happen, but
St. Louis, the team that wins the President's Trophy very seldom actually does well in the playoffs.
The Predators back in 2017.
It's like around like 4th or 5th in the league, something like that.
I'm sure if we went over cup winners, they're always top 5 in the standings. I mean, majority of the time, top 5 or 6.
Sure.
Tampa, Pittsburgh,
but definitely not like
Chicago.
The best playoff teams are usually not the best regular season teams. There are teams that are built for different things.
Yes and no, but it doesn't apply to every team, because I kept hearing from Phil how Colorado was like this fake, phony team. And I'm like, nah, they just got bad breaks.
They kind of just they grew into being good in the playoffs from experience. For a long time, they kind of were a team that didn't really show up in the playoffs and lost to teams that were
more tough. Only one team can win every year, though. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like the Leafs that lose every first round, But
I gotta reel it back here.
Okay.
Right. Third in the division? Really?
Oh, so now I think they're gonna be actually fighting for that 4th spot. So is that technically, that's not wild card?
What
yet, right?
changed for you from 3rd to fighting for 4th?
I expected them to actually go out and sign like a useful player to actually help the bottom six, because I feel like with the Islanders, most of the players, at least wingers especially, they're playing on a line above where they should be on like a winning team. So like someone like Kyle Palmieri would probably be, I don't know, an amazing third line winger or a good second line winger. He's probably going to be playing first line.
I agree.
You have someone like Beauvillier, who I love. Brandon knows I love him and should be on the first line. He's more of a second line winger that on a championship team might be a third line winger. Now, I'm willing to admit that.
So why would they go out and get another one of those guys?
If at least there's more balance in the lineup, because now I have a bottom six of Kiefer Bellows, who might just stink. You know, Ross John. What happens if you get an injury? You're going to have Bellows, Martin, and Johnston all in the lineup. I mean, you might as well just give up. I mean, and now you don't have a fifth center. You're expecting Aatu Ratu to come in and dominate. I mean,
Bellows isn't going to see regular minutes.
I think he will. I think that's why they gave him 1.2 mil. You don't give.
Who do you bump so that Bellows sees regular minutes?
Matt Martin.
Not gonna happen.
No.
I think Bellows is more of a middle six, but I understand what Brandon's saying, because you want him. Like, you saw him do a lot of hitting last year, and I think I said to Brandon he was like top 5 in hits per 60 or whatever on the team. That's good, you know, for a guy who wasn't getting a ton of opportunity. He's going out there throwing the body. Maybe fourth line.
I don't see it.
Oh.
I see.
No, I don't see it either.
I don't know. I saw. Listen. So here's one of the big names. Just before I pass off the torch, Evan Rodriguez was a huge name. I had Tuck on Twitter. Everyone I knew that was an Islanders fan, like, this guy would be great. And you know why? Because Malkin got hurt. He filled in, and he was incredible. The guy was scoring points left and right. And sure,
he also played with Sidney Crosby.
Did he? I thought he played on the second line, and Crosby was the first line. Am I wrong?
He was actually. I think the most hilarious part is when he was their first line center when the Penguins had that COVID outbreak back in October.
Yeah,
that was fun.
My point is, though, in big minutes,
pretty often, but I could be wrong.
He's one of those players, like, I know you're not gonna like this, but like Milano, when he was given opportunity, he put up points. And I mean, like, why not, when you have such a mediocre, and that's being generous, mediocre forward core, why not throwing a good player into the mix? That's how the Islanders have been successful in the playoffs. They have a bunch of second, third line players, and they all produced at the right time. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you might as well have depth, because we lost Zarnik. We don't have anything. Like I said, you have no fifth center. Center goes down. What are you doing? Got to try out Ratu and hope he does well.
Might be Ratu, yeah. I don't hate that.
Or Koivula.
Yeah. All right, move on. Next. Who's next? Don, he's so bad.
G squared. What's your prediction?
Mike, I'm actually picking the Islanders to be third in the division.
Yeah, that's what I had originally. Yeah.
Okay, wow. I have the Penguins.
The Metro's weak. Stop laughing, Eric. The Metro stinks. I don't know what you're talking about.
I have the Penguins.
C minus D. No, they're gonna be fine.
I have because in our mind, it's like cup or bust. That's why. If you're not putting it over the top to ensure that, that's a different story. Now, then again, the Metropolitan Division, in my opinion, is inconsistent. So that's why I'm picking the Islanders to finish third. Here's why. I'm picking the Pittsburgh Penguins to win it. I like the way their roster looks. I think the addition of Jeff Petrie is going to really help their defense out. They gave away Matheson to make it happen, which that's a net positive. You retained Malkin, you retained Brian Russ, you still got Gensel and Crosby, you got Dumoulin and Letang still in your squad. I do question their goaltending when playoff time arrives, but I think the regular season their offense will carry them. But I think it's going to bite them a little bit once playoffs happen. The games get a little bit tighter because then the goaltending won't necessarily bail them out. Now, I have Carolina finishing second, and I think it's because of their defense. Slavin and Pesci can still bring it. I don't like, though, and I like Svechnikov, Aho, and Teravainen. I think the loss of Trocheck, the loss of Nina Ryder, that's gonna hurt them a little bit in terms of depth. I don't think replacing that with a past his prime Stastny or Kakayemi as your second line center is a net positive. I have the Islanders finishing third in the division because of this. I think the Rangers got a little bit worse. I don't think Shesterkin is going to have. I don't think Shesterkin is going to have a .94 save percentage for over 4 months. And I think anything other than that is going to give the Rangers more losses. I don't think they're going to miss the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to have like long winning streaks bailed out by goaltending because of that. I don't have Chris Kreider shooting 25% again. I do think you may see a little bit of progression from Lafreniere and Kakko, but I don't think that's going to offset the shooting percentage decline from Kreider. And supplementing that with regression from Shesterkin, it's going to, in my opinion, have the Rangers bump a few spots. The Capitals don't have Backstrom for the entire freaking year. They ain't getting Tom Wilson back until late January, early February. And who else in the division really? I mean, and the Capitals core is old. The Capitals core is old, and they're one Darcy Kemper injury away from being screwed, completely screwed, because they don't have Vanacek. They don't have Vanacek. They don't have Samsonov anymore.
You don't even have to mention the rest of the teams, Brandon. They're meme teams, in my opinion. But
Yes. So I have the Islanders taking a step up, mainly because they're not going to have 3 COVID outbreaks again. Listen, the whole entire team, with the exception of Dobson and Pajot and Palmieri, and I believe Mayfield, all had COVID. And they were icing a borderline AHL roster. And in my opinion, it cost them 12 points when you take into consideration who was out for certain periods of time. So you have that. I think, because I actually went to one of the games that Lane Lambert coached, much more engaged, in my opinion, with the youngsters on the team. Talking to Beauvillier more, talking to Wahlstrom more, giving detail and attention more. You never got that with Barry Trotz, at least the games that I went to. He always talked to the veteran players. He always talked to Anders Lee. He always talked to Brock Nelson. He always talked to Zizekas and Clutterbuck. He was never really engaged with the youngsters, which what I saw from a brief glimpse when Lambert was coaching, I saw that. I feel that it can't get any worse in terms of utilizing youngsters the way Trotz did last season. I don't think that you're going to see Kiefer Bellows or Oliver Wahlstrom playing consistent bottom 6 minutes. I don't think so. And hot take, I think Bellows is, under Lambert, going to get mid to top 6 opportunities under Lane Lambert. I think Kyle Palmieri, at the bare minimum, will be used properly, like he was in New Jersey when he scored all his power play goals. I think at the bare minimum, Barzal will be above 59 points this year. You know, with regression from Nelson's shooting percentage comes progression. And the progression I expect is from Wahlstrom, from Bellows, especially from Beauvillier and Palmieri. You know, I expect their defense to keep the puck in the attacking zone more often. So as a result, you're going to get more opportunity to score more. Your goalie's not going to have to stand on his head all the freaking time. That's why the Islanders finishing third in the division.
I can't really disagree with any of that, to be honest.
You had them third as well?
We've all flip-flopped.
No, but I'm giving it I gave the offseason a C- because there wasn't – it's because of the fear that the Islanders just aren't a UFA hotspot, and we saw that unfold. That's why I gave it a C-.
Too early to judge that. They've only had the new arena for a year, Brandon, and they had no cap space. Where would they have gotten the cap space, Brandon?
If that's the case, what could Lou do about it? Right?
Oh no, I didn't give Lou the grade. I gave the Islanders organization that grade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Lou's part of the problem.
All right, I'm throwing in an additional topic off of the.
Wait, John didn't make his prediction.
I thought he was just. He didn't seem like he had any more. He was just like.
Eric, you picked first, right?
Yeah, it didn't get to me. Yes. Okay.
Don't leave him hanging, man.
I'm gonna give the most Islanders prediction yet.
Oh, boo this man.
Last place in Barzell's traded, right?
No, actually.
Great Barzell.
Just the way Dr. Eric ordered. Absolutely.
We're just gonna keep talking over John.
I want to hear this prediction. I want to hear the actual prediction, not just the yet. All of that makes sense.
Yep. So the problem with the Islanders was never playoff prowess. It was more the regular season, which I think is going to continue. I think they're going to be fighting for that last playoff spot with New Jersey and the Rangers. And if they can get it, they're going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals again. Because this team is built for playoff success. When you have goaltenders like Sorokin and Varlamov, that's a luxury that most teams do not have. And in a 7-game series, being able to bring in a fresh goaltender that is top 15 caliber is huge. That will propel them to win series that they do not belong in, like against the Penguins in the last back-to-back series, if we're being honest. I think the main issue is going to be what can Lane get out of the younger players, the more offensively guided players. If we see a Matthew Barzal that can hit over 80 points, if we see an Oliver Wahlstrom that can hit 50 points, if we see a Beauvillier that goes back to his form of 2 to 3 years ago, and if we see a Palmieri that looks like he was on the Devils, then they shouldn't really have any issue making the playoffs and doing well in them. It's what do we see from these players now that they got what they wanted, quote unquote. If we're saying that they wanted a new voice and Barry Trotz was hampering their abilities and their play styles and all of that. Now that they can play a more open style of hockey and show how skilled they are, will that skill parlay into points?
It was very well put.
Mm.
The irony of that goalie tandem being their strength while Lou rode Martin Brodeur.
I totally agree.
To so many cups. Okay, so here the third topic I'm throwing in is if you could have one
wish
of the rookie camp attendees sneak into the top 18 to start the season, not extra forward, not backup, an actual role on the team, earning a role on the team out of the preseason, who would it be? For me, I am picking William Dufour because the guy just scores goals. That's literally what he did. And I know, if Phil ever listens to this, he'll mock me because he's literally like a young Anders Lee. But it just feels like he has even more of a nose for the net. He's not about deflections. He's about just ripping shots, and I'm about that. So
that's the thing. He has a wicked shot. It's good enough that it could make up for a serious lack of skating ability.
I have no idea who he would bump. That's not what the question is. It's just who do you really want to see playing out of camp? Who do you want to just blow people away in the preseason? And my pick is Dufour.
Well, I have a fun one.
All right, go ahead.
Go.
You want me to go?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So I'll start off with the meme one, which is Simon Holmstrom, so he can play on a line with Josh Bailey.
Yes.
And I want to see a play where they both have an open net, but they just pass it to each other.
Have you ever seen a forward line with no discernible skills whatsoever?
Insert.
They kind of look a little bit alike, too. Holmstrom looks like a Swedish Josh Bailey a little bit, too, on top of it.
The only thing that would complete that line is if, the Greenvale human being was the center. The most vanilla, boring, yeah. Okay, what's the non-meme one?
All right. The real one, which is going to shock you guys, but I've been actually looking forward to see Ruslan Ishakov. Ishakov? Hard to pronounce. Ishakov. Yeah, pretty hard to pronounce. He's I think he's 5'8", probably 140 soaking wet. Guy's really, really tiny. I'm pretty sure, right, Brandon? Does that sound right?
Yeah, he's 5'8". I don't know how much.
He's the guy that's lightning fast, right?
Yeah. So no, the problem with him, he doesn't really have the wheels. But He has a ton of skill, kind of like that Sonny Milano like hype, like he's got all the skill in the world. And it's like it's kind of now or never for him. Whereas like guys like Ratu and Dufour, and they have time. Like they're 20 years old, maybe 19, 20, 21, not even 21. I don't think on any of. Holmstrom I think is 21 or 22, but it's getting close to him for prove it now. But I think Ishikov's like 23 or 24, so dealt with some injuries here or there, but is a flashy player. I'd love to see how he does at camp. Maybe they know something I don't.
Ishikov's 22, just so you know, and under
he is younger than I thought. Okay. So, yeah, he still has a little bit of time then, too. But 22, 23 is really like you got to be in the NHL. You rarely see you don't see Carter Verhaeghes. Those are really rare.
That is a surprisingly realistic and level-headed take from you, Mike.
He's got to put on more weight, though. He's got to put on more weight. He's only 152.
He's 150 pounds. Yeah. He's
just a little guy. They're being generous with both of those. Good next.
All right.
Get him in the gym.
Let's see it. John, you want to go?
Sure. So,
I think but not on my screen.
My thought with this is more who I think could be the most useful. And for that, I'm picking Robin Salo. I really want to see if he can pick his game up under a new coach and a less rigid defensive system and flourish in a situation where he can use his talents in a more he can play the game that feels more like his game, because we know what his strengths are and they parlay into a more open game, more transition, and just generally a game where he can actually be a lot more contributing on the offensive side rather than trying to come back and getting burnt all the time by that. So if he can do that and be the good third defenseman that this team would need, that solves a bunch of issues for us.
Robin Salo.
Oh, Robin Salo. I was thinking of like 4 other players that it could have been. That sounds like Barzal, Bo, Romanov. I mean, Chalowski.
Hey, it's a common theme for a lot of guys, I think, this year.
You're right.
I would like to apologize to everybody here. We should have done it the other way around. Describe who you think what you would want on this roster, and then we have to guess who you're thinking of.
That would have been hilarious.
Well, just because me and B Gaines talk about it all the time. That just quick before we go to him, that year with Waite, Barzal and Beauvillier were fantastic defensively. You know why? Because they didn't have to worry about it. They were flying down. They would just. But I'm serious. Like it translates into their analytics. Like they didn't really give up a lot because they were they were not in their own zone. Yeah, no, they were generating so much offensively. Like Brandon, how many goals did Bo score again in 40 games?
17
goals in 40 games. You know what that is in a season? I mean,
a lot.
That's your top line winger.
34 goals.
If he did that consistently, be a top line winger. Okay, you're up, Brandon.
We all know that.
And hot take, I think he can do that next year.
If they give him the chance.
If they gave Beauvillier a legitimate chance with an attacker on the opposite side, you can easily see Beauvillier getting you 28 goals and around 60 points. You can easily see that.
It feels like every year since that year, he's just, I mean, even including that year, he has had serious injury issues, whether it's COVID.
The problem is
he's been playing, though. Like on the first year, he played with Barzal and Bailey to start. Then at the end of the playoffs, he's playing with Filppula and Komarov. He's playing below Kuhnhackl and Bailey during that first playoff run against Pittsburgh. Then he's playing on Nelson's line, but with Bailey on the opposite side, and then rinse repeat the following playoffs. And then this year, he's playing on his off wing with Anders Lee on the opposite side.
John, what are you going to say?
More than any other player, he is super mental. If he's unhappy in his game or if he's not playing the game he wants to, you will know, because it's going to translate into how effective he is. If you put him next to Barzal, who is a zone entry god, and the only person that he can keep up with, that will be odd man rushes for days. They're both going to rack up points. He'll be happy because he gets to play the style of hockey that he's wanted to this whole time, and they're only going to benefit from it. If you put Barzal and Beauvillier together, it only translates to money.
He's Beauvillier. I think Eric's.
I don't know what happened with Eric.
I'm still here.
He'll be coming.
Lane Lambert has it easy next year. He has no risk. He just goes, I'm going to do the obvious thing. If it doesn't work out, who cares? So
Beauvillier is supposed to be. Beauvillier is supposed to be the Tays, the Barzal's Makar. That's how you're supposed to have them. You shouldn't. It's like breaking up Pellick and Pollock, which was beyond idiotic to care to a 44-year-old fossil. I mean, if Chara watches this, sorry, bro, but you stunk this year.
It just makes no sense to me that you have two of the fastest players in the entire league, and you don't just tell both of them, hey, why don't you blow by everyone every time?
And every time Trotz put Beauvillier and Barzal together, Bailey was on the opposite side, which killed the whole point of what the line was supposed to be.
They can't keep up with them. Yeah.
Mr. Gaines, you were supposed to give us your player that you're hyped for, though, that you think should make.
So I don't think he's going to make the team. I would love it because I think there's a little bit more fine-tuning that he needs to bring to the table. Now, if he could do that rapidly in training camp, the sky's the limit. But to me, it's Aatu Räty. His game reminds me of a young version of Robert Thomas. He has a nice attack to his game. He is a respectable defensive game in his skill set as well. I actually got to, I don't know if I said this earlier, but I saw Bridgeport play Providence when they won the game and Räty scored the game winner. Spoiler alert, that game was actually very painful to watch because the ref took 30 seconds to drop the freaking puck every time. No, the linesman was a freaking diva. Like that sequence, the entire game just pissed me off. But, in his own end, Räty was very, very comfortable, not afraid to, lay the body out, not afraid to establish a back check, not afraid to establish a poke check, not afraid to distribute, not afraid to attack when necessary. It reminds me so much of a young Robert Thomas type of player. If he makes the team, what?
Why do you compare so many players to Robert Thomas? I heard you compare Barzal to Robert Thomas yesterday.
Because
he's a Blues fan. He's not an Islanders fan.
because that's the guy. But it's true though. Robert Thomas is more defensively responsible than Barzal, but they're both.
He's also like 10 times slower.
He's 10 times.
Alberto is like an older, less talented Robert Thomas.
But like in all seriousness, no, that he has a nice attack to his game. He's not a slow skater. He's a faster skater than Koivu already. He skates faster than Holmstrom already. That is not an accomplishment.
That is not an accomplishment.
If you want to make the NHL, you got to demonstrate some form of competent skating. You can't be as slow as Dufour or Koivu right now. You have to at least. Okay, that's different. He's one of the only players who could park in front of the net. And
ideal team is just Robert Thomas, just 4 of them down the middle.
you got me. You got me.
About him. I don't know if you just root for teams in blue, but we got to be careful with you because the Rangers are also.
No. I wouldn't be caught dead doing that.
The Canucks
unless it's like the final game of the season and they're playing a team the Islanders need to take over to get a wild card spot.
There is rare occasions where you can root for the Rangers, but it's once in a full moon.
But no. But so. I don't think he will make it, but if he did, he would probably start off on the third line because they're not going to give him the Nino treatment. They're not going to do that.
I would hope not. If Dufour or Räty make it out of camp, I think a lot of people will be psyched, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think so either.
Final category I borrowed from NPR Politics Podcast. The can't let it go.
Oh, here we go.
Do you want me to stop? You don't even have to say what it's about.
What do you say?
I'm sorry. When you say can't let it go, it's like Devontae's.
Oh, well, yeah, we know yours is going to be Devontae's. My thing that I can't let go from this offseason is how do or die it is going into Matt Barzil's next contract. Like, I get all the hubbub about the quotes that he wants to be on the island and that, he spent the summer here and that's a big deal. But if they stink again this year, I don't know. I kind of operate under the assumption that all players kind of want to win a Stanley Cup at some point, especially ones as talented as him and who do have the potential to very soon dictate where he can play or wants to play.
Isn't he going to be an RFA?
He has one more year of RFA eligibility. So he's arbitration eligible at the end of this year. And his qualifying offer is going to be pretty big.
10.2.
Yeah. Like he'd want to take it, probably.
Of course.
And they're going to have to make it to him.
Sure, of course.
If the team sucks, if like God forbid, like what if Brock Nelson gets injured? He's been healthy.
I understand.
My
thing is, are you afraid that he's gonna sign a 2-year deal and then jump at the UFA status the first chance he gets?
I don't think he's gonna do that.
I think most people in Islanders country will admit that there are lasting scars from our last foray into this territory.
They'll trade him before it
but Tavares was a UFA. What is the?
Yeah,
what do you think is worst case scenario?
You have to just hear what I'm saying. The fact that we're this close, we're very close, and nothing happened this offseason. And
Lou just said he likes him very much.
Just let me finish my rant. If that's what you want to bet the house on, that's what you want to bet is going to keep Matt Barzil here, fine. But if he goes, a lot of people are going to look at this offseason and go, why the hell didn't they do more? So it is a hit or miss season, and I really can't let go how close it feels Matt Barzil is to being free.
I get what you're saying, but I don't really think this contract isn't the one that scares me. Next contract is.
Yeah. Yep. Next one. I think he's going to take 8 years and say trade me if that's really what it comes down to.
Do we?
No, I think you're right.
Do we just want to get Mike out of the way and let him?
Yeah. Let me story time real quick. Okay, ready? So when I don't remember when the John Tavares news broke.
I do. I was at Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. It came through via Twitter during intermission.
What time? What time?
It was 2 or 3 p.m. in the afternoon.
Okay. Well, the first time I saw that, I felt like genuine sadness because I felt like he really let us down. He betrayed us. But when I woke up to whatever time it was when they dropped the Devon Tays news, I was infuriated. That's the difference. I feel like one of them was a little, at least somewhat out of our control, where the Devon Tays one, that was a choice. Okay, next, out of the way. Worst move in my lifetime, I think. Go.
Can't let it go, won't let it go.
No, it was terrible.
Who's going next?
Brandon, you want to go or do you want me to?
I'll go. All right, so are we saying the thing we can't let go from Islanders history or just this offseason?
From this offseason. Or in Mike's case, just that he's never going to get over.
It still applies today. They're still chasing a Devon Tays. They're still chasing him.
The ripples continue. I get it. I get it.
Go.
I can't get over this all season, and I could be coming from a different place talking about this, how tone deaf the Islanders organization is a little bit. Not just in terms of, whether or not we should have added this player. Brian Wiseman was hired by Lambert originally, announced as the assistant coach. I'm going to guarantee you that the Islanders organization did not do their homework on his sexual assault case in the mid-90s. In light of all the freaking Hockey Canada stuff that was coming out of which hopefully the players involved in that situation are found guilty and they're gone at this point. In light of all that, you hired somebody who was narrowly acquitted of a sexual assault case. You didn't give him the contract because of what other teams were talking about. No. I'm not done. I'm not done yet, Mike. I'm not done yet because this ties into another thing that John Ledecky said during the opening of the UBS Arena in light of the Kyle Beach stuff that was coming out a month prior. And that is, he said, Gary Bettman is the best commissioner in all of sports. You can't say that literally a month into that Kyle Beach material surfacing. You can't. Even if you're a yes man, quote unquote, you can't do that. Say something different. Like, we're not stupid. I'm not saying we're millennials or cancel culture people, but we know in the hockey world what's going on besides the game. You can't say that. And it wouldn't shock me if this was another tone-deaf initial hiring and then redacted upon in light of, oh, yeah, you're talking to this guy? You're really hiring this guy? I don't care if the Sharks hired him a month later. I don't care.
That was my question.
Yeah, I don't care. Listen, they signed Evander Kane to a long term. Do you think the Sharks have a high standard? No. So that I can't get over. Well, it's completely toned down. Completely toned down.
The fact that their thinking was that this wasn't going to be an issue, to me, is worse than anything, because it means that they're stupid. Like, how are you? Either you're not doing due diligence or you just don't think it's going to come up. Yeah. And at this point, if you don't think it's going to come up, in light of everything that's happened, I'd question your judgment greatly.
Yeah. It's not just Lambert. It's the entire organization not doing their homework on that.
Want me to give you a quick worst case scenario that the fact that they didn't hire him had nothing to do with any of that. Never even thought of that.
Yeah.
Right?
Why would it have nothing to do with it though?
Maybe they just had a disagreement. He came in, he said his thing. They said, "No, we don't want that. Never mind. We don't want to work with you." Could have happened. I mean,
but Lambert's the one who picked him.
Yeah.
They had a deal in place.
Yeah, Lambert's the one who picked him, not Lou. Johnny McLean was a throw-in coach because Lambert didn't have time to pick anybody else, so Lou gave him a throwaway coach in this case. In light of what happened, because Lambert didn't have any other options.
I watched Leo Komarov play on the first line for 18 straight games in the playoffs. Anything that happens to me now or that I see, it doesn't surprise me anymore. I've seen crazier things.
All right, John.
Okay. All right, John. Finish us up.
Okay. So mine has to do with the NHL at large, but I cannot get over the fact that so many teams seem to be playing for regular season success over playoff success. Throughout the offseason, we have seen deck chair over deck chair move from team to team to team in an effort to just add talent where you can. Not thinking of roster fit, not thinking of scheme, not thinking of how this is going to affect the structure of your team. Just, oh, this guy has skill. This guy is good. He'll put up points. We're going to put him on our team and make it work. For the regular season, that's great. Because we saw it last year with the Florida Panthers. You can outskill your way into being a first-place team because teams without structure are going to be playing you very often, and teams with structure are going to be playing you once and then leaving, and then once and then leaving, and they're not going to really be able to get a scheme down on how to beat you and go forward like that. They're not built for playoff success. All of these teams that are putting different players on right now are not built in a way that makes them more structured or makes them more difficult to play against. They're just kind of adding talent for the sake of talent, like what Vegas is doing. And that's not going to work.
I agree. Which is why I'm a little more inspired by the Islanders that if they are able to claw their way to a playoff spot, they could be well positioned again. But
I think so.
It does feel precarious, doesn't it? Like
that's going to be the difficult part for me. Trying to find a way to slog your way through the season and maybe finish like 4th in the Metro or something. That to me is the real grind. When they make the playoffs, I am confident as anything that defense behind Sorokin and Varlamov will get it done, and they're going to score enough points to beat most teams.
They don't have their cornerstone forward anymore.
I hope the defense is actually in front of Sorokin, not behind him. But all right, so that's good enough. I'm gonna stop recording now.
Okay.
Another successful pod. Woo.